During the years before we entered the new millennium, we experienced a lot of blackouts. El Mar, which was the name of the electricity company, underwent a lot of glitches in their system. We did not live in a poor neighborhood, but it wasn't rich either. It was middle class, barely floating. Or well, floating, but with lots of sacrifices in exchange. For example, time. By the time we got to each other, we were tired, irritated about the amount of shit we had to take from the bosses. Talking about bosses, my mom is one. She works hard for a hotel, wasting a lot of time and energy on something she does not love directly. But she does love us, so indirectly she had to love her job. It's really funny how the food chain works, how the abusage of power can lead to some miserable glitches in that intricate system called love. When half of the island was out of electricity, there was not much to do but marvel at the stars. And my grandpa seemed to enjoy that. We had a breezy veranda with a sofa bed placed outside. So on these jolly occasions, we would all cuddle up and marvel at the sky. I was more or less 11 when I couldn't resist my curiosity any longer, so I asked, "Papa, what are stars?" And with his distant voice, he said, "Well, stars are what people become when they die. All of those millions of stars you see up there are what people become once they no longer are here, alive. You have to understand, my grandpa never had the privilege to go to school, neither to understand the immensity of space and even start acknowledging the amount of galaxies spanned all around us. So for him, that was a plausible answer. And it worked out for me as well. Until I found out that, well, stars are just suns in distant galaxies. Most of them ghosts from distant pasts. Unfathomable. How close he was of hitting the nail on its head. The power dynamics in my family was prominent. My mother liked exercising her authority in a very black and white manner. There was no in between for us, since there was never any for her. That's how it worked. I love her, like some things have to be loved in the dark, precariously, almost with too much room to spare. Rooms. We shared one room, but that was alright because we loved cuddling. Spooning was our thing. We didn't do much talking, but we cuddled. Or well, she did most of the talking, spelling out clearly what we weren't allowed to do. If you're looking for the biased tone in my voice, I can assure you there isn't any. Blame, regrets, resentments. Those words aren't part of my vocabulary anymore. After 14 years of cuddling, it became sour, though, because our allowances were limited. After 14 years, the no became stronger, overshadowing the hard work and loving intentions. After 14 years, my body started desiring things, immoral things, things my mom wouldn't allow. It's funny how the belief system works, overshadowing any sense of trust with fear for the worst scenario. My mom wanted the best for us, and the best entailed overprotection to the last inch in order to minimize the amount of suffering that life brings, life and the mistakes it entails. So she became this obscure figure, which wanted to give us everything in the hopes we wouldn't run to another state. She was a state, and our house was communism, filled with misunderstanding and the lack of time. But it was never enough. With every no, our curiosities and desires expanded. So we went through the dark ages, my mom and I. I left Aruba with the dark age still deep within me. It's up until my 20s and some well-deserved solitude that I could start hearing the in-between again. I could start hearing the corners of her heart. I could see past resentments into her faultiness, into her flaws, into her good intentions, into her humanity, into her motherhood, into her love that spilled over one too many times. I love her. Like some things have to be loved in the dark, precariously, almost with too much room to spare. Quatawata, e ultimo viaja, Cuba tu un crenci di tempo pabo admira. Un subidi solo, ma inta trempan. Ora cu su rayo non bagna mi isla natal. Y su rayo bendición mi Aruba stima. I was 12 when I sang that song at a festival. A summer after my granddad became a star.